Hey, what's up, La Familia? You crazy football-loving nutters. This is Ray Hudson, and you are luxuriating in listening to the Inter Miami podcast with the stupefyingly magnificent Jay and Alex. Two lads who are as electrifying as a hairdryer thrown into a hot tub. Stay tuned, because you know what it's going to be. It's going to be magisterial with an amplifier.
The cross goes, he's done it again. Taylor squares it for Victor Ulloa. It's one up. Ulloa and Taylor. Job done for Inter Miami. Led in by Mote. What? 6. It's 2 for Miami. Damian Lowell doubles the lead.
Some days you can just sense something wicked this way it comes.
So what are our plans for this long off season?
Oof. I don't know. Hopefully I don't know, man. I need a break from just all the negativity the last 2 weeks. Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, I'm burnt. I'm totally burnt. Like, it's been a long season. There's been just so much going on.
Tomorrow.
I'm ready for this to be over. I want to reset. You know, I just need to like get away from it for a bit.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
And I also need my kid to sleep through the night.
Yeah.
I can hear him through my headphones screaming downstairs.
I wasn't sure whose it was. We all have
That's
children.
mine.
I love this. Okay, I wasn't sure. I was like, is it mine? I have no idea.
I'm right above his bed, so the vent on my floor is
nice.
like coming right through his room.
Nice.
So it sounds like he's right here.
Well, it's good for when he gets older.
I did an episode where I was being mauled by children.
Yeah.
I had one like over his shoulder. I'm like, yeah, Tata's great.
At least if you stay in your current setup when he's older, he won't be smoking any funny cigarettes because you'll be able to smell them, I guess.
Oh yeah, this house is not long for this world. We're gonna get out as soon as we can. It's too small. I don't know how we got a house that we grew out of in 4 years.
That's what happens. Life comes at you fast, kid. I just keep saying that to myself, like every other day for like the past 2 months. I'm just like, hey, life comes at you fast, kid. But welcome everyone to the Inter Miami podcast. I am Jay Kington, joined by Mr. Branton Griffen, and I think for the first time on the flagship, Mr. JorgeDTA. How are you boys doing? Don't all jump at once. We don't have to jump at once. Let's go with George. George, tell us how you're doing.
I'm doing good. I'm actually really excited to be on the flagship finally after all these years. But yeah, I mean, you know, wrapping down the season, looking forward to talking about kind of where we're at, what's happened the last few weeks, and what we should be looking forward, in this off season.
I just like you because you always keep me confused with, you know, like you're like chill with Jorge or George. You know, and I never know. I just keep it guessing. Branton, how are you holding up, buddy?
Oh, exhausted, man. George took my intro. It just, ready for the season to wind down and be over with now, and you know, looking forward to next season already, and you know, we'll get into all our team's crazy off-season plans, but yeah, just looking for a little rest.
Yeah, I think that's probably what we're gonna focus most the show on. If anyone's been sleeping under a rock, maybe you noticed that we kind of dodged last week's episode, just not wanting to get on and talk about yet another loss. I thought we were over these days where it was consecutive losses in a row, but we did officially get eliminated from the playoffs in a poetic justice of revenge from FC Cincinnati, probably still reeling and hating us for kicking them out of the Open Cup semifinals. They probably wanted to go to the finals and probably honestly would have won it, but we had to say other things about that came back to bite us at the end of the season. Stats pretty congruent with what we've been doing, man. You know, we don't need to run through these. I feel like we're doing this too much. Yeah, we controlled the game. Yeah, we had more passes. Yeah, we looked more comfortable, but we lost on a rogue goal from Mr. Barrial, officially knocking us out and probably I mean, honestly, man, it's been so much speculation, so many weeks, match days of everything in the universe going our way, the teams we needed to draw, the teams we needed to lose, all that. Like 3 weeks in a row, stars aligned, and we just kept dropping the ball and could not execute. So, honestly, you know what? In hindsight, I'm glad. I'm glad you put me out of my misery early and didn't put my poor little heart through any more of this, because, yeah, it's been a long, grueling season. Nasty little Eurostar injury bug starting biting us towards the end of the season. But, hey, let's just get ready. Let's all get refreshed. Let's all go get a manicure. Go get a pedicure. Get a massage. Throw the cucumbers on the eyes, baby. We got a long off season, and I'm sure it's going to be an exciting off season. Tata's first, real trade window, I think, where he's going to be able to have some impact and work with Hendo to work it out. How did you guys? We're going to do a wrap-up show probably next week, right? And kind of review the season. Yeah. And I encourage you guys to get there. We'll try and get as much as the pod squad on there as possible just to share our thoughts. So we don't need to go through the complete season, but what were you guys' just kind of final thoughts on this most recent game?
Oh, most recent game, I'm glad it was over. I mean, to your point, I'm kind of glad that we got it out of the way, right? Like, everybody's, pushing Messi to play. And if we didn't get eliminated last week, we'd probably have Messi trying to play this week. And he's not 100%. Like, he's still injured.
He wouldn't even be available.
And
he might be available for Saturday, but he wouldn't be available.
Yeah, I'd be shocked. I fully believe Tata put him in that last game just to tell Caden he was a fraud. That was it.
Dude,
he saw that the report Caden put out, and he said, "You know what? Fuck that guy."
Yeah. In particular, shots at Caden.
Yeah.
But honestly, dude, to Caden's credit, that whole timeline makes sense. Was it the Bolivia game?
Yeah.
The whole four-week timeline makes a lot of sense. That might have just been delayed, or some confusion along the lines of it happening in that Toronto game versus previously. But George, fan appreciation night. Did they appreciate us enough by just putting us out of our misery early?
I think that when you look back at the game, the team actually was trying its hardest to score. I mean, we hit the post once, we hit the bar twice.
It was like 5 times.
It was one of those things where it's like, this could have been a 3-4-0 game going into halftime, and we end up losing. And it is what it is. But ultimately, yeah, I mean, I think it was, I don't want to be, a slave to the moment, but like, we had just such a special run through Leagues Cup, and we had 4 months of just misery leading up to it, that, this roller coaster, the valleys and the peaks have been so low and so high that, kind of like, this is the leveling out, coming down from all of that. And it's time to just sleep for 2 months, hibernate, rest, get our groove back together. And, I think we can step away from this and feel like this was a successful season. We got a trophy, we got Messi, we got Busquets, we got Alba. We've really uncovered the gems that were in our youth system, and we've brought in some really good, talented young players. Now it's about putting all those pieces together, getting them training together, and actually kind of developing what the true identity of this team will look like. Because what we saw was what this team can be when Messi is leading the charge, but everyone is playing off of him and not necessarily playing as a unit. And that's where, playing a game every 3 days for 2.5 straight months just killed us, because there was no tactics. It was, we're going to change to 4 at the back, 5 at the back, 3 at the back, all of those kinds of things, which are frankly fairly subtle. And it just was, we ran out of gas. And so coming in fresh, giving Tata the time to replenish the roster, make some, subtle moves, because I don't think we need big moves. I expect to see some big moves, but I don't think we need them. But really get this team training and healthy and all on the same page from the jump. And next season, we shouldn't have, the peaks and the valleys in the way that we've had them. It should be, very nice, gradual ascent, and probably, start off near the top and just gradually creep our way to the peak.
One would hope. And, it's honestly, it's like my mind blacked out, but you are so right. I forgot. I even tweeted out, I was like, man, this Southside goal is taking an absolute beating tonight. Yeah, it was. It's a game of inches, and if we had an inch here or there in our favor, it could have been, 3-0 in the first half. That was wild. I mean, one post, that's tragic. That it was, I think 4 or 5. It was insane. But I agree with you 100%. We going from one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in the league, to one of the best teams, if not the best team in the league, back to the worst team, one of the worst teams in the league, all in like a sequence of like 3 entire months is just so just Inter Miami. That is just, for all the new fans coming on, like, oh, I'm following the MLS. We got Messi. This is all good and joy. No, they got their full circle, La Familia experience with
they got the Inter Miami fan experience that we've been going through for 4 years.
You got the gray hairs with it, and but I could not agree with you more. We've mentioned this so many times on the Inter Miami podcast. We've mentioned this on Trav Chats. The off season is going to be such a blessing for Tata because he finally gets the time to implement a system, make adjustments, really coach on how he wants them to play or react to certain situations, which he just wasn't afforded that luxury throughout the season because it was, game day, okay, recovery day, okay, game plan, game day, recovery day, okay, game plan. There was not really a break. I mean, honestly, we had a week off basically, which week and a half, which is crazy. That's probably the longest break we've had in I don't know how many months, but
since July.
Yeah, and that's a brutal schedule. And guess what? It's not going to get any easier next season.
Yeah,
with all these tournaments going on. So let's not let's try and focus on the positives. Let's leave the Cincinnati game behind us because we do have 2 more games against the same opponent, right? We had to reschedule. Our game that we're playing tomorrow night, our home game against Charlotte, because we had to reschedule that because we played them in the quarterfinals of the League's Cup run, and then the following day we were scheduled to play each other. Yeah. So either way, we're going to be dead. So now we get 2 back-to-back games against teams that are, kind of at the bottom of the East. And what do we do here? What do we just, Brandon? Are we just gonna enjoy this? Are we just are we just having fun? Is there even a point to all? I'll get into who will be available for this game, but is there a point to even playing? The first team, or is this where we really just say, hey, let's throw all the young guns out there. Let's call up some academy names we might be questioning, see if kind of get a feel for them. Do we just do that, or what's your philosophy here?
So my thought on it is, and I don't know that we see too many academy kids, at least not ones that like are on Inter Miami too. I don't think we see a lot of them, but I think the people that we do see play are mainly those that are out of contract this off season, because I think Tata needs to figure out which one of those pieces fit his plan, right? So like I expect to see Robbie Robinson. He loved Robbie Robinson when he first got here, but we didn't. He's been hurt, so we haven't seen him. So I expect to see like Robbie Robinson, Steph. I expect to see him on the field. The young guns, I would guess, would probably be there too, just because, while I think they all have earned a spot on the team, I think, there's real conversations. Like if we're going after CCC next year, we're going after MLS, Open Cup, Leagues Cup, and then God, if we get invited to the South American tournament, like
we also have that Intercopa America, which is a small tournament, 4 teams, but just throw it on there.
Yeah, but if we're looking at that, we need to understand if these guys are going to be backups next year, if they're capable of being starters. Some of them, like Benja, maybe as a starter next year? Or are these guys that we should probably get 2 people ahead of? Like, the depth chart for next season is going to be formed in these next 2 games is what I think. And if not, if Tata runs out a full roster, I think he's wasting the games. Because you don't get very many chances to see people play in actual MLS games, like preseason games, like we saw with the Austin game this year. Like it wasn't a real game. It didn't feel like that. There wasn't that intensity, but there still will be for Charlotte, because I don't think Charlotte's been eliminated yet.
So they haven't. They're sitting at 39 points right now. The 2 remaining. Oh, DC's been eliminated in 9th. So I guess I would essentially make New York the next one up, unless I'm completely misunderstanding this. But Montreal's at 41 points, DC at 40, but they're eliminated. New York at 40, Chicago at 40, Charlotte at 39. So in theory, Charlotte gets a win on tomorrow night, and Montreal loses, New York or Chicago draw. Like, they could be in that spot. So there's 2 games, and they're fighting for their lives. So we're going to see, I think, a very aggressive and a team with a lot of drive on tomorrow night and as well as Saturday. And while I do agree with essentially everything you are saying, Branton, I do want to play devil's advocate here, because we do have some players who are coming back from injury. And again, I agree, give some more playing time to those that you're curious about, right? And I also saw today that Harvey Neville was back from loan. I would like to see what he's got for 2 games. I'm not
100%.
so much on the nepotism bandwagon here. I think the kid's actually got a little bit of skill about him. But
I think he's quality.
I think he is as well.
I agree. Yeah.
So Tata said that
those idiots that booed him need to keep their mouths shut. Let the kid play.
Tata said that Jordi Alba, Campana, Gregory, Diego Gomez, and Robbie Robinson are all back from injury and available for the Charlotte game tomorrow. So this could be the first time we see Gregory, although we'll kind of jump ahead a little bit here because we're on the subject of Gregory. I don't really think we need to prove or have him play to prove himself, because he just signed a contract extension through the 2025 MLS season. So our old Capitao is he's back, baby. And that's 1 Brazilian locked in. We can, after this, discuss potential moves in the offseason, or maybe we'll do that for the wrap-up show. But we've had this discussion many times. Do we need both Gregory and Mota? And this kind of seems like if we're going to commit to Gregory, if we don't see any commitment to Mota, he could be, the next one on his way out when his contract expires at the end of next season, I believe it is. But outside of the ones coming back from injury, right? So Alba, great to see Alba back. We need him. I think he hurt more than we realized. We obviously Messi going down kind of lulled us in this little maybe false narrative that everyone's stepping up and everyone's playing better, but remove Messi and then we quickly revert back to Neville ball, especially once Alba goes out. So, again, just to recap, Alba, Campana, Gregory, Gomez, and Robbie Robinson all back. Additionally, Kamal Miller, Sergei Kristoff, and Facundo. I don't like that nickname. I'm going to butcher that. Facundo Farias are all back from international duty and are also available tomorrow. George, to you, sir. Do you think we're playing the majority of these? Only a couple of them? Do you agree with Branton? Do you think that maybe we get some of these guys back from injury and see how they're holding up, considering the fact Charlotte's going to be coming for our necks?
So I think, given that it's a home game, Tata's going to want to run out as close to a first-team squad as he can, with, kind of just as a thank you to the fans, right? I think the game that we'll see, results really not mattering. I think the decision day game on Saturdays where we'll see, him testing, basically this is your tryout to a bunch of people. And I do see that as being kind of the philosophy moving forward. I also think that when it comes to like the Mota Gregory situation, because they're such different players, it's hard to weigh how one's extension is going to impact the other, especially because like since Mota's come back, he hasn't been very good, but you know, he's always kind of been a guy that like has to get into the rhythm of things to really show what he can do. And I mean, he came back immediately, was in the starting lineup against Cincinnati, and then we didn't see him for a month and a half again. And so, you know, he re-aggravated his injury, you know, like, so what we've seen since his injury hasn't been good, but it also, there's a lot of things that factor into that. But I would expect to see him and Gregory get some burn. I'm really excited to see Gregory come back. I want to see how he plays, you know, in a midfield with Busquets. I don't think we'll see, you know, Messi, Bussi, Alba play much, if at all, over the next 2 games. I think that that's where we'll, you know, we can kind of take those chess pieces off the board. We know what they can do. We don't need them right now. And that's where we can kind of give someone like Mota the opportunity to really kind of showcase himself in the middle, so Tata can get a feel for what his game is and how he's going to interact with players like Gomez, Benja, David Ruiz, you know, Arroyo, like what the combinations are going to look like, what the chemistry is like. And I think that that's what we'll see. I think Harvey Neville coming back is really exciting because driving around today thinking about what this roster will look like in January, you know, going, you know, out of the season into a new window, and that backup right back spot has just been a glaring kind of hole. There is no one else there. You know, David Ruiz has played there, Robert Taylor's played there, but there's no one who truly just backs up Yadlin. When his legs go, who do we slide in? Noah does it, you know, really well on the left side. We need somebody there.
But Noah's really the third option there because Negri got injured as well. And I agree, like Mota needs that I believe they call that ritmo, but he's gotta find that again, because I agree with you completely. I think he does have talent, but he's not someone that you can just plug in when you want to. I think he needs that consistency. And you make a very good point as well that maybe I wasn't really considering that much, is that Wednesday night, play the starters, farewell, thank you to the fans. Saturday, you're going up to Charlotte. Maybe we play Messi there because isn't that part of the commitment? We have Messi. You're going to pay all this money to see him. Might as well trot him out there for a little bit. But
don't put him on that turf.
No
Bank of
way.
America Field is a turf
No.
field. So maybe he just goes out there for like the last 5 minutes just to mess with everybody. Be like, look, I'm on turf. Or
Shut
God
him down.
forbid anyone else gets injured in the last game of the season.
He's gonna be in Bermuda before the ball kicks off on Saturday, right? Like there's no way he's even on the plane.
He's got a 5-week vacation. Like,
yeah, and then he's
starts
gonna go to
Sunday.
then he's gonna go to China. You know, like let the
Oh goodness! And then
there's
that.
no
And then
like
that.
there's no way he shows up in the Queen City. Like it's not gonna happen.
He's not going to play tomorrow. I mean, he won't be available, but we'll.
And listen, the guy's played a full European season, played in a World Cup, played a full international season after that. Like, and then we expected he brought us Leagues Cup, and then like he got hurt. Like, let the man rest. Like, there's no reason to play him. Don't jeopardize next season. Just let him get his rest in. Let him go work on his tan.
I thought Victor Ulloa gave us Leagues Cup.
Yeah, sure.
You thought until he missed the PK.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Like, I guess we enjoy it, right? I don't want anyone going out there and overexerting themselves and maybe catching an injury in a pointless game to us, you know?
The only people I want to give it 100% is the guys that are playing for their jobs.
Yeah. No, I
But
agree.
who is playing for their jobs, Brandon? Because
Robbie Taylor. Robbie Taylor's contract's up at the end of the season.
There is a club option on that.
There's a club option.
Robbie
on that.
is, but
Right,
Robbie might just
if
go to
you-
Charleston like he was supposed to before he got injured.
That's Robinson, not Taylor.
And so
Yeah, Robinson.
Right. And so that might happen, but then you've got I think Mota is out after this season. You've got
Well, and so here before you continue going, right? There's a differences between someone that's out of contract and someone that we're just going to try and trade, right? So
Yeah.
Coco Jean, do we need him? You know, serious question. I think Ulloa is probably going to retire.
what we saw from Coco before he got injured. I thought he was one of the more exciting attacking players that we had in the beginning of the season.
Yeah, but I feel like now that we got the 3, U22s, especially with like Gomez and
Yeah,
and
but
Farias,
you have to have the conversation with Coco and say like, dude, what's your number?
yeah,
Like, if we don't bring him back, like we can't bring him back at his current salary. Like it's too much for what he's going to be contributing. But if he says, yeah, I'll take half, I'll take that deal. We're going to need that depth.
So speaking of taking lower deals, though, Josef Martinez, right? What's going to happen there? Is he going to agree to take less money so he can continue to play with money? Continue to play with Messi, which Messi is money, to be fair. Yeah. What about Ryan Saylor? What about Chris McVeigh? People that we haven't seen a ton of this season, right?
Well, yeah, McVeigh's out too.
I think McVeigh's gone.
I think for
Saylor
I
think is a tryout.
I think Saylor
the next
stays.
2 games.
Saylor could stay. I want McVeigh to leave just so he can play.
So
I think he's got talent, and I don't think we're doing him service.
And with McVeigh, I'm so surprised that Tata hasn't deployed him as a center back, because Tata likes his center backs to like move forward and push the ball and be on the ball in advance, and that's like McVeigh's game. Like that is what he did so well as a left back for us.
And he had the most minutes last season.
Yeah,
and now barely any. It's crazy.
And it's wild to me. And Tata's known to play favorites. Like that's his thing, and that's happened wherever he goes, and he's entitled to do that. But it kills me to not see McVeigh play, because I think he can bring something.
I agree that McVeigh can bring something, but let's be real. He was awful this year. Absolutely awful. I mean, he was the in-pen starter game 1, and this team, was doing no favors next to Kristoff. The reason why we went and got Kamal Miller is because clearly McVeigh wasn't cutting it, and I mean,
you couldn't have turned down that deal. That was probably one of the biggest steals in the MLS history. Right?
I mean, that was Hendo cooking, but not seeing Christopher McVeigh over the last 4 months hasn't changed my life in any kind of way appreciably, and that tells me he's the kind of player that, thank you for your service, but we can improve. We can find a 22-year-old, who is better with higher upside, cheaper, to take his spot, because he's not a starter on this team. Yeah. Maybe for another team in a different system in this league, but he didn't show himself to be a starting caliber center back in this league with the opportunities he was given, early in this season.
That's fair. And what we've been seeing is we're going to see a lot of people who have been covering this team, or from major news outlets, who are going to give their thoughts on, what we need to acquire in the offseason, either via trade or via free agency, super draft. I mean, there's a lot of different options out here. What we really don't know at this moment in time is kind of the insight into Tata and Hendo's conversations about what pieces he's looking for. The sources, they like to pick up and get hot, and we'll be dropping that as we get them in the offseason, just like we did around the whole Messi and everyone coming over saga as well, which is such an exciting time, but we just don't know yet. I'm sure he's going to get asked over the next few weeks, especially in the offseason, but we'll just have to see what happens. I do expect...
Tata already got asked about Suarez.
Yeah, well, so... Yeah. Okay, but all right, so let's separate the two. Let's separate pipe dreams, and let's separate realistic transfers from the MLS.
I just mean
Latin
like
America.
It's already happening. Like people are like bringing these questions.
Or everyone keeps saying, "Oh, you guys are getting Luka." I'm like, dude, can you just chill out? Like, God, can Beckham just take a photo with anybody nowadays? Like, oh no, they're coming over. They're coming over. It's a little bit to speculate. I agree though that there's going to be some, you're going to have to earn your contract to earn the right to stay on the team. But let's get on to some exciting news around the team, because Benha Kramashki, Facundo Farias, and Diego Gomez were all named to the Body Armor 22 under 22 list for the 2023 season. That makes Inter Miami the only team in the MLS with 3 players, right? Pretty substantial, I think, to have 3 players. I kind of in line with this. And look, I think Farias, super talented. I think Gomez, super talented. But, it feels like less than half a season we've had them. It's kind of the same line like the Messi MVP votes or whatever. Like, how was he even on the tally?
He shouldn't have even been on the ballot.
Yeah.
Our two submissions were him and Busquets. It's like, but Drake Calendar's been here all season.
Yeah.
You know?
Drake.
And like, how many MLS games does Messi have? Like, what, 3?
2?
Yeah.
It's
2 or
like,
3, yeah.
I think it's 3, but like, what? Like, yeah, I mean, if we're doing North American soccer MVP, sure. If we're going to be able to consider or at least include Leagues Cup in there, maybe so. But I just think it's pretty big. In this, with the kind of continued thing that we've discussed for years now, really now starting to see the effect of the academy bleeding over. We're really starting to feel a solid identity of the youngsters being the engine to this team, which can be capped off just with a little Eurostar here, little Eurostar there, maybe some up-and-coming South American talent. And thoughts on the boys? Who deserves it the most on that list? I think the answer is obvious.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Benja getting being voted number 2 of the 22 under 22. I probably wouldn't have had him that high of all of the 22 players, but definitely top 5. Probably 5th.
Fair. Ups
but,
and downs too, like great games, and then games he, but probably self-admittedly would say he didn't play too well.
Right, but when you consider that, like, he's still a teenager, right? Like he's going to be on this list for another 3 years.
He just started driving,
right? So I think that, like, some voters probably are weighing it, like, what is this kid's floor and what is his ceiling? And the floor is high and the ceiling is high, and he's playing a ton of minutes. He's gotten a first team, national team call up. I think that was kind of the genesis for that. I was really surprised by Diego Gomez being on this list, because if you were to ask me of our U22 players, eligible for this, he probably would have been 5th on my list. Benja, Facundo, Aviles, Ruiz, I think have all been consistently better.
That's a good list.
Yeah.
I like that.
And, Diego Gomez, who, when he stepped on the field, people all immediately had opinions that were negative and spitting them out there. I see it. I see what his talent is. He just needs time.
Yeah.
And he's going to get there. He is going to be a very impactful player. And I think that really is why he is on the list. I think it's hard for an Aviles, a Ruiz, to get elevated into that top 22 because their ceilings, probably because of their positions, are limited in comparison to the more advanced attacking players.
And his debut was great, but then the following games kind of lulled off. But to be fair, I don't want to be overcritical.
His adrenaline had to have been through the roof for that first week.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, he was like jumping in. He started his first game, right? Like, that was, Leagues Cup. I think it was a knockout game. Like,
I think he had like one day with the team and he started or something.
Yeah.
Did you find an apartment yet? No. Who cares? You're starting. Get in there.
Yeah.
But all right, let's be fair. I don't want to be overcritical here because it does take time to adjust. Not everyone just comes in. Not everyone's named Leo Messi and just comes in and absolutely starts to dominate in the league.
Yeah,
For the vast majority of players, you have to adapt.
Yeah, and if you watch game footage from God, I forget what his club was before us, but if you watched it,
Rossing, right? Was he at Rossing?
Yeah, that's what it was. And so, like, I had never heard of him, and I've never heard of any of these South American talents because I don't watch those leagues. So I had to do some research, and I watched him play, and like he's got talent. Yeah, and I just think he's going to be good, and I think the ratings are probably done a little more on potential than it is on product that was put on the field, because even Benja's had a good season, but like his name didn't like hit everybody's lips until really Messi came. Yeah. Like, he was getting scouted by people who knew soccer. Like, he was getting scouted by the Bundesliga before Messi, but like I'd be curious, and I think George is right. I think had Messi not come, we'd probably see Benja at 5. But Messi came, and it forced Benja to elevate himself, and good on him. And he pushed his name up there for 2. But
Messi came, Alba came, so Alba's gonna take over that job, right?
And it gives you a preview of what Benja could probably do if he played with more talented people around him, right? So like if he moves up to a different league, because I don't think we have 12 more months of Benja. I think the summer window, he's probably going to be moving on, because the Bundesliga is not going to let him develop any further without them buying him cheap and selling him high, in my opinion. I could see him ending up at like a Leipzig or even a Salzburg in the Red Bull system. He would be fantastic.
Yeah, I could see him going to Germany. I apologize. I yelled Jordi Alba. I was for some reason confused. Thought we were talking about Allen, but
I wasn't going to bring it up. I was just going to let it go.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw me on the camera look over what am I doing? But yeah, sorry. This is going to get confused. I mean, hopefully we'll nail this one day. Diego Gomez, Libertad, Toto Villas, Racing, Fagundo. I'm never going to be able to say Facu correct. Just going to cuss, and I'm sorry. We're trying to be more of a family podcast. Cologne. We'll try and remember that, but it's always confusing. They all came at the same time from South American clubs. But more good news coming up. Who watched the Finland-Kazakhstan game today?
Not me.
Yeah, it's
I saw the goal. I didn't watch it.
Yeah. I haven't found the goal. I keep seeing it in my Twitter feed, and I'm like, can I see the goal?
I found one video of it, and then I was trying to find it was a fan video, someone from the stands, and the rest were kept saying it was the highlight video, and it was just your sketchy YouTube, no videos for copyright reasons and people talking over it. It was nice. It was pretty deep. It was probably about 5 yards back from the 18-yard box. So I mean, fairly deep free kick from kind of leaning over on that left side. To be fair, the keeper probably could have done more to save it, but hey, man, I mean, Robbie Taylor's getting inspired by Messi, and kind of playing off what you were saying, Branton, about Benja, and I 100% agree with you. I don't think we've even seen half of the potential of Kramashi yet. But the other one that we were kind of expecting, how long are we going to have him for? He's probably going to get called over to a European club. Would be legit Robbie Taylor. I think that dude has a lot of talent, and now you're starting to see him really hold it down for his national team. And again, there is a club, option. Maybe he wants to stay with Messi, but it would not surprise me if he gets called up to, PSV or something like one of these smaller, maybe Amsterdam or Belgian leagues or something like that, but something to keep an eye on, man.
I mean, I think he right now, his value is higher than it ever will be at any other point in his career.
Yeah, tripled in a week.
I mean, he's also not young. He's 27?
He's pretty close to his ceiling, I think.
Yeah, he's 27, 28. So if we're going to get any value out of him, the time to sell him is now. And so, exercise the option, lock him in, sell him to a championship club, get $4, $5, $6 million for him, and go hunting for the next guy to replace him.
28 years old.
But do you guys think we can get that? Robbie Taylor's not a starter on our team. You really think he could go to the championship?
I think Robbie Taylor's a starter on our team. I mean, we've seen it happen.
But he's not. He doesn't start. I mean, when healthy, he's not a starter. He's not on the field.
When Messi first came, he was shredding enough to be a worthy starter.
Since then, he hasn't been.
But,
so,
fair.
That I'm asking the question. I'm playing devil's advocate.
It is a clogged roster in his position.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we brought in Messi. We brought in Facundo Farias. I think
Stefanelli. You can literally go on. You got Robbie. Yeah. You got Robbie Robinson, Robbie Taylor, Josef Martinez, Campana. Not same position, but they're all going to be playing up top. Right. Diego Gomez. I agree with you 100%. And then it gets more congested with Benha, with David Ruiz, with Busquets. Yes, valid point.
So I mean, I love Robbie Taylor. I mean, he is the street king of Helsinki, or or not Helsinki, totally wrong country. But you get what I'm saying, right? Like you could see him like in a skate park, smoking cigarettes at 16 years old, and like that just seems to be he's just like a dude like that. Like he do anything that he wants.
He looks like his tattoos are like what you would like design like in like a video game, just like preset tattoos.
They're
like,
phenomenal.
Very Adam Levine.
Yeah.
Like you could probably scrap a little bit. I like that analogy. Skate park for sure.
But his opportunity here would be he could stay here for as long as he wants, right? And have a role, spot starter, first man off the bench, to kind of elevate the team in the second half. Or, he can try and step up his level for what is, the last 4, years of his career of his prime before, any kind of, age catches up with you and there starts to be some physical decline. His value is at its height right now. And so the question, the conversation with the club and with Robbie needs to be, what are your goals? This is what we see for you here. What do you want? Is this what you want, or do you want something else, closer to home? And then he has to make that decision, because I mean, he's played league football. He's been in the English pyramid before. Going back there and going back at a higher level with more expectations, he would get more opportunity because he would be coming in with a higher price tag. And I think that he's the kind of guy that needed that, and he got his opportunity here, and he's shown that he can be successful in a good competitive league, that he can do it at abroad as well. I don't see him going to a Belgian league or a PSV. Those leagues are more developmental, and I think his skill set is too high for his age to be kind of for the value there. So I think in England, a Spain, an Italy, second division, lower first division squad in some of those leagues is more his speed potentially as far as his ceiling. And if the team can get value for it, I say do it. It's good for the player. It's good for the club.
How's that convo go? You think Tata's like, do you want to go here? And points to like a map of Europe, or do you want this? And he just points to like Messi in a corner, just like standing all like omnipotent. But like, dude, if resumes existed in soccer, Robert Taylor would have very poor tenure and would have a hard time getting a job, because this man has kind of been a journeyman on loan several times from various clubs. Now he's at Inter Miami, probably feels pretty settled. Of all the clubs he's been to,
next year, Inter Miami will be his longest tenured club.
Yeah, well, I mean, he already has most appearances. The second highest would be with Braun, where we picked him up from. He made 57 appearances, 12 goals. He's got 60 appearances with 7 goals for us, and the second one is JJK. I would have to assume that's somewhere, some team in Finland. I've never even heard of JJK, nor seen them on my drunkest nights of going for the most obscure league and team I can find in FIFA. But
love those nights.
Yeah, I love just trying to spice it up a little bit. Let's move on to something that's kind of got some people sideways. Like maybe we could have just focused and maybe tried to win out and make the playoffs, or we could just go over to the China tour. What are your guys' thoughts on this tour over to China? Spread Messi around the world. I think last time he was over there, tickets were like $500-600. There was an Argentina game, if I'm not mistaken. What do you think about Inter Miami going abroad now? For the first time ever, going not across the pond. I don't know what you call the other one, maybe the lake, whatever across the Pacific is. Or maybe you go, I don't even know how you fly to China from South Florida. I don't know if you go across the Pacific or you go across the Atlantic. Either way, it's basically on the opposite side. What are your guys' thoughts here? Good move, bad move, financially incentive? Is it just spreading the brand, just spreading the love of Messi? What's going on here?
I think from a business standpoint, I think it's a great move for us and for the league as a whole. A lot of people are just now starting to watch MLS, and they're trying to figure things out. And I think, there's a lot of talk before Messi came about the Apple TV deal and how Apple was saying publicly that they were happy with the numbers, and there was some rumors coming from inside Apple that they weren't very pleased with the initial sign up. And so I think this is kind of what happens when you have like exclusive exclusive streaming rights for the league. Like you've got the biggest star in the world. You're going to go to, per person, like one of the largest potential markets in the world, and you're going to sell Messi. And so we're going to do that. Hopefully what happens in China is when I order my DHgate jersey next year, it comes out in the right shade of pink and right shade of black, and we don't have 40 different shades of pink for the same shirt.
You beat me too, bro. It's the DHgate summer tour. We've done,
that's what they should call it.
Jerseys coming out of China over here. Yes, you stole it from me. I love it. I didn't want to interrupt you, but that was the next line coming out of my mouth.
Yeah. Well, we're all thinking the same thing. And, I think it's a good business move. Do I love the idea of taking our players in what should be their off season and their time to rest and recoup? And do I like the idea of sending them to China? Not really. I don't like it from a sporting perspective, but it'll be cool to see. I mean, who would have ever thought when Jay and I first met in that bar before we even played our first game that we'd be saying, "Oh yeah, we're going to be playing Chinese Super League teams." Not me.
I'm going to have to look this up. Has any MLS team ever gone abroad in a showcase like this?
If they did, I would guess like maybe Mexico and Canada. I wouldn't.
I would think one of the Mexican teams would.
LA has probably gone out to China.
Right in Mexico. You think so?
I would think Club America has probably done some sort of world tour before.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. I forgot with Beckham.
Or do you think it's just that like now, instead of like us calling Barcelona to come over, we're going to pay you to come over and just have a big event? Do you think massive clubs like, Real Madrid's like, no, we want Inter Miami to come over here. That way we can finally sell out our stadium.
I don't see that happening. Because that would be awful for us. But I think that, it's good business. It's two friendlies. It's a showcase, right? These aren't competitive matches. These are showcase friendlies, testimonial, like kick the ball around. No one's going to get hurt. And the MLS has an incredibly long off season. We'll be done Saturday. we'll be done Saturday, and we won't play another game until March. Yeah. That's a long off season. So
because they skewed this for, I forgot what the reason they skewed this season was, but yeah, I mean this is now.
It was, Leagues Cup. But this is what happens, right? If you don't make the playoffs, like, or you don't make, even you don't even get out of the first round of the playoffs, like your off season is incredibly long. Especially compared to the European leagues, but getting 2 games in November, you get all of December, all of January. We'll get the other announced friendly down in Argentina sometime in February, and that's kind of like the beginning of camp at that point in time. So I don't worry about the rest and recovery component so much of it, but it is going to be like this is about making money, about expanding the brand. This is imperialism, Inter Miami style. Like this is how we dominate the world and how we spread to the 4 corners of the globe. And these are the things that we're gonna need as fans. We're gonna have to get used to. I don't think that this is going to end when Messi is gone, because there will be somebody else, and the brand, hopefully the idea, I suspect, is to have this thing rolling in such a way that it doesn't stop, that it is a perpetual machine, and that this was the explosion that ignited the machine, and now it's just going to be running like this forever. That's the hope. There's going to be obviously maintenance and things that need to be done to keep it that way, but that this is just going to be something we need to get used to.
Fair. And yeah, hey, at the end of the day, it is a good business model. I don't know if they'll ever release the financials on that situation, but what I do know is China will pay a lot of money for a lot of random things if it's going to make their people happy. So would not surprise me.
Hope MLS lets us spend the money.
Great. Yeah. Who knows? Hopefully this isn't the start of new sanctions, but I doubt it. Moving forward, we do have some. Speaking of this long off season, and you mentioning December, so things are really going to start to move in terms of what 2024 is going to look like in December. Dates to pay attention to. We'll probably discuss this multiple times in the off season. December 1st is the club's deadline to exercise or decline options. So by that day, I would imagine we'll probably announce it sooner, but by that day, we will know if Robbie Taylor's contract option is being exercised. December 11th is when the trade window opens and the madness starts. The 13th is when free agency opens. Two different ways to go about business. Do you want to trade a team? Maybe let Hendo work out another insane deal where you give us millions and we give you a player and you also give us a national. Love more of that. Or free agency where we're just buying players who, are out of contract or just, maybe have been out for a season or two. Like maybe, I don't know, what's Breck Shea doing? Maybe we should check up on him. A rumor associated with this, though, is Alejandro Bedoya's kind of being, quote unquote, done dirty by the union. And there is a sick camp that would like to bring him back home to South Florida. So free agency December 13th and then December 19th. Just gotta love America. Love confusing all the Europeans or South Americans not really fully understanding the league or how Americans like to go about sports. But December 19th, the super draft. I do love any draft type event, even though this is so hard. The super drafts are so hard to, I think, accurately rank players. And I mean, it's not as clear cut as like college football or college basketball, I'd say. But I mean, hey, we could find the next Daryl DK or, next Drake Callender.
Robbie Robinson.
The next Robbie Robinson, so.
There it is.
Yeah, or the next Dylan Nealis instead of taking Daryl DK, it's just the world of possibilities is out there.
He's starting for Red Bulls, by the way. So
I mean, they got
terrible.
the brothers, man. I like the brotherly love there. What a good family. If you didn't, go back to the first season.
Which Nealis was ours? Was Dylan ours,
Dylan.
or was it what was the other one?
I want to say Sean.
Dylan was ours. Sean. Okay.
Yeah.
Because Sean's the starter for Red Bulls.
Yeah, but then
I don't think Dylan is playing much anymore.
I think Dylan. Oh, I don't know. I saw 1 or 2 Red Bull games and he was playing.
Yeah, he did play a little bit.
He started.
Yeah, I mean he's there. I mean he might not start, but he certainly was getting some playing time. I mean, help. I mean, Ben Sweat went away and he was getting some playing time as well. So that's what we want to pay attention to. Is there anything else you guys saw that would be an interesting discussion topic, or should we just hold everything for the grand finale, into the season, massive review show?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I have is I did a little research just now, and other teams have played overseas before. Orlando City, for instance, when they had Kaká, they played in Brazil.
Okay, that makes sense.
I didn't find anything about LA Galaxy outside of, I think they played a couple games in Mexico, but I'm sure if I look back far enough, I'm sure they did something with Beckham.
What if like Montreal went to like Ivory Coast with Drogba? It's like
it could happen.
Two polar opposite climates,
I mean, it'd be cool. Like I like stuff like that. I mean,
I think it's going to become easier now, right? I mean, the eyeballs are on the league. It's not just Messi; it's the entire league that is getting more exposure. So yeah, I mean, I think that this, you got to have an ownership group that's willing to do it. We clearly have one, but yeah.
I mean, I'm afraid to say it, but this could be like the start of, how European teams come over and they have their like preseason tournaments in the U.S. and stuff like that. I mean, I could see a world where like LAFC, Galaxy, us, and I don't know, Atlanta, like say, hey, let's go to
Wembley.
Australia.
Like, let's just run a tournament at Wembley.
Wherever, like let's go somewhere and have a preseason tournament and just get our names out there, and that'd be cool.
And then all the English folk are like, "You're shite."
Yeah. I don't think we would go to England. I feel like we would target other markets. But yeah, maybe South America or something.
Good times. Good times. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for hopping on the show tonight. Go ahead and shout out your guys' handles.
Ooh. Well, the only place you can find me is on Twitter at bgriff891. And I'm on Blue Sky now. bgriff8.
Okay. We're talking about real platforms. We're talking about real platforms. Okay. If you don't already, check out George and IMCF Traveler almost every Thursday night on Traveler Chats. George, where's the handle they can stalk you?
You can find me on Twitter at JorgeDTA. You'll see me chatting up with Trav and cutting up on all the other stuff that the nonsense that goes on with this team and in our fan base, and maybe even getting into Twitter fights with my friends here.
Yeah.
Isn't that the whole point of Twitter?
I love it.
Just
we gotta take from the Discord and put it into the real world for other people to see. Sometimes
I don't know about that. That might be a bad idea.
I thought our spat was very civil.
Of course it was.
They're always civil. I feel like for the most part, they're always civil. But hey, if you want to see what that world's like, then reach out to us and you'll get the link to join the Discord. Follow us at Inter MIA Podcast on Twitter /X. Don't ask me about Instagram. We're not even going to discuss it. We will see you guys next week to recap whatever the hell's about to happen tomorrow and Saturday. Let's have fun. Let's smile. We won a trophy this year. We've got our first real piece of hardware. No disrespect to the Carolina Challenge Cup, but we got the Leagues Cup. We will be the defending champions. What a season. Ups and downs, riding it out. So close to capping this one off as we end every single episode. Vamos, Miami.
Vamos, Miami.
Vamos, Miami.